Well, hello, everybody. This is Congressman Mike Levin. I am greeting you from the cloakroom next to the House chamber here in Washington, D.C. We are doing the people's business today. We're voting on important legislation in the House of Representatives. So forgive me for my surroundings right now. I am so grateful to be doing this virtual town hall in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. And I'm so pleased to introduce our guests for this week. U.S. Senator Alex Padilla of the great state of California, Dr. Acela Nunez Alvarez, co-founder and co-director of Universidad Popular, and Cipriano Vargas, school board president of Vista Unified School District. Our guests will be helping me answer some of your questions. They'll share their personal stories, highlight the significance of Latino communities' contributions to our nation, and address opportunities to alleviate the challenges that Latino communities continue to face today. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody. Now, for those that may not know, I'm the grandson of Mexican immigrants on my mom's side. And having not graduated from high school themselves, my grandparents sent all 5 of their daughters, including my mom, to college. And age 50, my grandfather, Rosendo Bringas, became an American citizen. And I know it was the proudest day of his life. Although my grandparents did not have the formal education that their children and grandchildren received, they achieved the American dream that they hoped for when they came to the United States. I want to preserve the values and the aspirations of so many immigrants like my grandparents who dream of the uniquely American opportunity for self-improvement. Para aquellos que quizás no lo sepan, yo soy nieto de inmigrantes mexicanos por parte de mi madre. Mis abuelos no se graduaron de la escuela secundaria, pero lograron enviar a sus 5 hijas a la universidad. A los 50 años, mi abuelo, Rosendo Bringas, se convirtió en ciudadano estadounidense y fue uno de los días más orgullosos de su vida. Aunque mis abuelos no tuvieron la educación formal que recibieron sus hijos y nietos, lograron el sueño americano que esperaban cuando llegaron a los Estados Unidos. Quiero preservar los valores y aspiraciones de tantos inmigrantes como mis abuelos, que sueñan con la oportunidad única de la América de mejorar su condición. With that being said, as a member of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, I helped introduce H.R. 6, the Dream and Promise Act, to create a pathway for citizenship for eligible dreamers and secure permanent residency for those with temporary protected status or deferred enforced departure status. I've also co-sponsored legislation to reunify families who were separated at the border, voted for legislation to deliver humanitarian aid to the border, and signed onto a bill to create more oversight and accountability within the Department of Homeland Security. What I think we need, and what I think the senator will allude to, is that we have to start treating immigrants with respect and decency again. Values that I know President Biden and Vice President Harris are working to restore. My maternal grandparents immigrated from Mexico to create a better life for their children and their grandchildren. Our country was founded on that promise, and we must continue living up to that principle. This is a nation of opportunities made up of immigrants and an accumulation of numerous cultures and peoples. It's so important that we remember that. And Congress has a critical role to play to ensure that all people are treated equally, regardless of their age, their gender, their race, who they love. And it felt especially symbolic to have this discussion during Hispanic Heritage Month. Over the course of the pandemic, we bore witness to the critical importance of essential workers. And with millions of America's essential workers being Hispanic, we saw the community on the front lines carrying a large part of the brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's without a doubt that Hispanics are essential to building the nation we share. That's why this month we're honoring this heritage of resilience. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Acela Nunez Alvarez for some opening remarks.
Buenos días, buenas tardes. De parte de Universidad Popular, agradecemos esta invitación de ser parte de una celebración a nivel nacional que reconoce a nuestra comunidad mexicana latina. Es un honor reconocer y celebrar a la comunidad chicana, mexicana, latina, indígena. En unión formamos un colorido mosaico de diversidad y de tradiciones que se han forjado gracias a la sabiduría de nuestros abuelos, de nuestros padres, de nuestros ancestros. Con esfuerzo y gran sacrificio, forjaron un camino y nos iluminaron. Levantemos pues hoy la misma antorcha para que la luz de nuestros ancestros siga iluminando el camino de nuestros hijos y de nuestros nietos. La familia mexicana latina, casi somos 1 millón de personas aquí en el condado de San Diego y la mitad en el distrito 49. Nacimos en más de 35 países distintos. Hablamos más de 560 lenguajes. A pesar de esta gran diversidad de pensamiento, de palabra, de obra, de colores, compartimos todos una larga historia de lucha en busca de la libertad. El futuro y el bienestar de nuestra comunidad depende en nuestra participación cívica ciudadana. Venimos desde hace décadas, siglos, derrumbando barreras que nos han deshumanizado y lo seguiremos haciendo. Vamos a seguir trabajando, educando, votando y organizando a cada uno de los miembros de nuestra vecindad y de nuestra ciudad para juntos lograr una vida digna y saludable. En especial, le quiero dar gracias a mi madre Eva, que con su esfuerzo educó a 5 niñas y a mí misma para salir adelante. También le doy gracias a los copanelistas que están con nosotros esta mañana, en especial al senador Padilla por su liderazgo en el censo 2020, al congresista Leven por representar nuestra comunidad fronteriza y a mi compañero Cipriano Vargas por su liderazgo en educación. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Now I'd like to turn it over to my dear friend, Cipriano Vargas. Cipriano?
Muy buenos días. Good morning. This is Cipriano Vargas. Y es un honor estar aquí con ustedes esta mañana. Gracias por la invitación. Y más que todo, gracias a mis padres que son migrantes y los soñadores que empezaron este paso para venir a los Estados Unidos para una mejor vida, no solamente para ellos, pero para sus hijos. It's an honor to be here with you all this morning. A shout out to my parents who came to this country as immigrants for a better path forward, not just for themselves, but for their children. And as we look at what's happening in San Diego, as we look at what's happening in California, I have the honor of serving as our school board president for Vista Unified, and the impact that education has in our lives and how it transforms not just our communities, not just the direct 2021, 2022, but the impact that it has over the next decades and the impact that it will have over the next century. As we look at Vista Unified, we have 20,000 students. Mostly of them are Latinos. And just like many of them, I began my journey as an English language learner. And so when we talk about Latinos in leadership, when we talk about Latinos and school boards, having that perspective, having that unique journey that when I first started, I didn't know English. And so it took a phenomenal group of teachers, of staff, of programs that were there every single step of the way supporting me. I had migrant education. I had Miss Miguel in 3rd grade who kept me after school thinking I was in trouble. But at the end of the day, she actually wanted to help me. And so she provided extra tutoring. And that's the things that we need to do as we look at how do we support our students and how do we make sure, especially in this pandemic has not only amplified the inequities in our community, but definitely amplified what is needing to be done to making sure that we reach our students and making sure that once they graduate, that they have the opportunity, whether they choose to go to college, whether they choose to pursue a career or start in the workforce, that they have the skill sets and the talent to have a good job, that they are able to afford and live in their community. And with that, making sure that we amplify those systems of support, because that kindergarten student today in 20 years is going to be an adult in our community. is going to be an adult in our society. And so what kind of future do we want to create? And thanks to the leadership of Congressmember Mike Levin, Senator Padilla, we are moving the needle. We are moving the needle even against all odds. And I'm hopeful for the future because of the leadership that we have, not just in Congress, not just in the Senate, but the leaders that we have in our current public education system. Thank you for the invitation and look forward to the conversation ahead.
Thank you, Cipriano. We're so grateful for all of your leadership in our community. Now it is my great honor to introduce somebody that I've known for 2 decades. He has always been just such an exceptional leader. And really from the very first time I met him, I knew that he was going places. And it's not at all surprising to me that he's our U.S. Senator. Senator Padilla graduated from MIT, was a Coro Fellow. For those that know about that program, it's a fantastic public affairs year-long program. I got to do the same program about 8 or 9 years after the senator, then became the youngest president of Los Angeles City Council ever, and served extraordinarily well in Sacramento also. I remember interacting when he was the chairman of the Senate Energy Committee, just did a phenomenal job at helping our energy and environmental policy in a very positive way in Sacramento. And then, of course, he became our Secretary of State, where he was responsible for protecting our democracy in California. And I think really was the best Secretary of State in the United States when he was there. Although we love Dr. Weber also, Alex. But now as a U.S. Senator, getting to see his leadership, and he's relatively new to the Senate, but already a leader on so many important issues, and already right in the middle of these national discussions around things like immigration, around things like the filibuster. And I know how well served our community, our state is by Senator Padilla. And I'm just so grateful that in his busy schedule with everything going on, he took time to be with us for a bit this morning. So with that, I will turn it over to my dear friend, Senator Alex Padilla. Oh, and Senator, I think you got to unmute yourself. It wouldn't be a Zoom event unless.
Wouldn't be Zoom if we didn't have a technical something, right? But
we hear you loud and clear.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for your 20 years of friendship. We have known each other that long, but we're still young. We are still young, just now working together in the nation's capital. And of course, I want to thank you for inviting me to be part of this event as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. It's the one we should celebrate all year round, but it's the 1 month where we make it official, where we honor the impact of Latinos throughout California history and throughout American history. Yes, since January, I've had the tremendous honor of being your United States Senator. And I'm proud to be the first Latino to be able to do so. I know that I'm here as a result of my lifelong journey. My parents, too, are immigrants to the United States. They came in the 1960s in pursuit of the American dream. Took them nearly 30 years to decide to become citizens, which they did, and they never missed an election after that. But I'm also here because of the tremendous organizing and advocacy of our community. So many community leaders, so many organizations that have insisted on our rightful place in the political process. And as I mentioned, now that I'm the United States Senator for California, it's my opportunity and responsibility to share my family's story and my life journey in the deliberations of the United States Senate, not just because it's mine, but because I think it's so representative of the story and the struggles of so many working families throughout California in pursuit of their American dreams. You know, my parents came to the United States, like I mentioned, in the 1960s in search of that better life. They actually came from different regions of Mexico. They met in Los Angeles. They came with a little formal education, but like so many others, a tremendous work ethic and big dreams. They eventually got married, became legal residents, and started a family. For 40 years, my father worked as a short order cook. And for the same 40 years, my mom worked cleaning houses. And on those modest incomes, by the way, jobs that are considered essential now by the federal government because of the pandemic, they've been essential for a lot longer than COVID-19. But on those modest incomes, they raised three of us. I have an older sister who's been an educator her entire career. My younger brother who works for the Los Angeles City Council. So we're all public servants. But we were raised in a modest three-bedroom home in the proud working class community of Pacoima, California, in the San Fernando Valley. So anybody who remembers Richie Valens or has seen the movie La Bamba, you have a taste of where I grew up. It was in that modest home that our parents taught us the importance of getting a good education. That was key. And also the importance of seeking out opportunities to serve others. So it is no coincidence that my sister, my brother, and I are all public servants in different capacities. Now today, again, in my representation, my work on behalf of California in the United States Senate, I'm especially proud to fight on behalf of communities like the one I grew up in. Working class communities with that are very diverse, home to a lot of immigrants. Nearly 40% of Californians are Latino, but we haven't always had our rightful place at the decision-making table at all levels, in the public sector and in the private sector. In the government at the federal level, the state level, and the local level. So particularly as we're each doing our part to address the COVID-19 pandemic and recover from the pandemic that hit especially hard in Latino communities across the country, it's critical that we remember the lessons from our history in fighting for equity. From voting rights to union organizing, we find ourselves too often having to defend the victories of prior generations of civil rights leaders. 50 years ago, Cesar Chavez led boycotts to secure a union and better working conditions for farm workers. And that struggle continues to this day. This spring, the United States Supreme Court's 6 conservative justices gutted a law that he fought for to help farm workers organize. We also recognize that 75 years ago, elementary student Sylvia Mendez and some of her classmates and their families won a legal battle to end segregation in California's public schools. That was one of the precursor cases to the Brown v. Board of Education. And yet here we are in the year 2021, and our education system remains deeply inequitable. If you look at test scores and funding from district to district and school to school. So as we consider the challenges that lie ahead, we can draw inspiration and motivation from those who came before us. And, the last individual I'll mention as part of this Hispanic Heritage Month event is the example of Willie Velasquez, who launched a movement of voter registration in Latino communities throughout the Southwest. You recognize his slogan, "Su voto es su voz." Your vote is your voice. So I'm asking each one of you listening today to continue to make your voices heard and to vote in every single election. So proud to be fighting every day alongside Congressman Levin to build a better future for our country. And that includes for Latino and immigrant families, from affordable health care to immigration reform, for the essential workers who call this country home, and so much more. Thank you for having us, Congressman, and to our co-panelists. And I know we have a few questions ready for us.
Well, thank you so much, Senator, for all those remarks and for all your leadership. And I think we have time for one question. We'll try to make it a good one. And it's a timely question, which is this. On Sunday, the Senate parliamentarian ruled against the efforts, and we all in the Congressional Hispanic Caucus read that ruling, and we're obviously disappointed. It was a 3-page ruling, but against the efforts to advance immigration reform via budget reconciliation. So there are now conversations that the fight will continue to find pathways to citizenship for immigrants, something that we all support. What can you share as the next steps that are being taken in the Senate? What do you think communities can and should do at the local level to advocate for this process to move forward?
Great. Look, I very much appreciate the question. It's critical and timely, but I want to make sure I clarify something. The ruling from the parliamentarian on Sunday was not a complete outright no to any immigration reform through the budget reconciliation process. It was a no to a specific proposal that we had suggested to her that would have offered security and a pathway to citizenship for Dreamers, for TPS holders, for farm workers, of course, but frankly, all essential workers that recognized by the federal government during the course of this pandemic. And so the good news is this: we're not giving up the fight. We always hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So we knew in the event that she would say no to our initial proposal, is there a plan B? So there's actually multiple options, multiple ways to bring about that security that so many immigrants deserve, to be able to live without fear of deportation and continue to work and provide for your families and pursue your American dream. So we'll be back in front of the parliamentarian with alternatives to the proposal that she said no to on Sunday, and a couple more behind that just in case. But we're not going to give up the fight until we provide as much security as we can to as many immigrants as possible, as soon as possible. So I am optimistic. Don't lose hope. Keep watching. Keep staying tuned. We hope to have a lot to celebrate here in the weeks ahead. And what can you do on the ground? Keep advocating. Don't just keep the candles on at home, although I know I have mine lit at home, keeping faith and hope alive. But keep advocating, communicating to your representatives, helping us forge public opinion. If you have family members or colleagues or know folks in other key states with key Senate votes, especially in Republican states and Republican House districts, keep pressing them as well, because frankly, immigrants have been critical throughout this economy, keeping the supply chains moving, keeping our economy going, keeping others healthy. And that positive impact is felt in every congressional district in every state in the country.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for providing hope and inspiration and leadership. We're so grateful for your joining us today, and you're just doing an exceptional job. And I know we're going to work together for many years to come. So thank you so much, Senator Padilla. I want to be respectful of your time. And also, I need to go vote. So this is the first time we've ever done a town hall where voting got right in the way. But thank you again, Senator. And I'm now going to turn it over. Thank you so much. I'm now going to turn it over to Kyle Krail-Frolander, who is going to ask the next couple of questions of our other guests while I go and vote. Kyle, take it away.
Thank you, Congressman. Honored to be here with the Senator and yourself and our great guests. I wanted to jump to a question that we got from our community. The pandemic highlighted and continues to highlight the vast inequalities that communities of color are confronting in the 49th District, the border region, the state, and the nation. These inequities have been particularly felt by frontline and essential workers. According to the Legislative Analyst Office, quote, while Latino workers make up only 38% of the state's workforce, half of the state's frontline workers are Latino. Well, the question is, how have the struggles of frontline workers been addressed by the federal government, and what has been done on the ground to support these workers? I don't know if either of you would like to address that question, or we can provide a couple of points that I know the American Rescue Plan provided and move on from there. President Vargas, do you have any comments about how frontline workers have needed to be supported during the pandemic?
Yeah, I'm happy to start this off. And I would say, first and foremost, this pandemic has definitely had an impact on all communities. We have seen many people, faced the loss of loved ones, and specifically, Latino families that have been impacted in family death. But with it, how do we make sure that we support, whether it's Latino family members in our community, the frontline workers that, as Senator Padilla mentioned, have been keeping the supply chain going, and with it, making sure that they have safety working conditions, and making sure that we provide the services. And obviously, this pandemic did not start, last month, and it was interesting to see at the beginning, how to adapt and adjust. But with it, the American Rescue Plan definitely allowed us to provide services, to provide funding for PPE equipment, making sure at the school levels that we had the HVAC systems and air filtration for the classrooms. But it's a struggle that, even till this day, because with the Delta variant, we know that pandemic's not over yet, and we have many challenges to address, especially as we look at learning loss and students coming back to school. We are proud that, our schools are open as of last month, but we will keep monitoring the situation and what the Delta variant is going to do, and then pivot as needed. Technology has definitely been something that's been a key issue, and we were well positioned. And with when we can keep our schools open, that helps our frontline workers because they are able to perform their jobs and not having to worry about virtual school with their children.
Thank you. Dr. Nunez Alvarez, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I do. Again, thank you for the opportunity to share our experience with large group of community educators and community leaders through Universidad Popular. We responded very swiftly as we saw the pandemic really wreak havoc in our community. COVID has been lethal in our community. We have seen and witnessed firsthand our community members, our family members, our neighbors get sick, be hospitalized, lose work. And in many cases, including in my own experience as a community educator, I've had students who actually passed away from COVID. I've attended many funerals of elders and have witnessed when many of them were repatriated in caskets going back to Mexico, to Guatemala, to many other parts of Latin America. It's going to take generations for us to recover from the devastation of the pandemic. We are seeing essential frontline workers lose the ability to sustain their families. I've been out on the field with our educators where we've assisted men, Mexican, Latino men who have been brought up to be the breadwinners in their families, and for the first time in their lives, not being able to pay rent, not being able to buy food. We've seen a great deal of devastation. And as we continue, we saw limited response from government in some cases. We saw delayed response. We saw limited resources going into very hard to reach communities. I was fortunate that with a group of community educators, we were ready to deploy. We are bilingual, we are bicultural, we are ready to go into our community, and that's exactly what we did. We took an army of volunteers out to migrant camps, to nurseries, to work sites, to give information about workers' rights, to let people know about sick paid leave, to connect people to grants if they were undocumented and were not eligible for services. What we continue to see, however, is a great deal of inequality, especially in the hardest to reach communities where folks are undocumented, where they live in rural communities, where they have been disenfranchised. They don't have access to health care. We continue to fight every day and to advocate to make sure that the resources that we need in our community reach those families who are in great need.
Well, thank you very much. This is Mike. I am back from voting. Jeremy, hopefully you can get me on screen there. Although Kyle, you keep going if you want. But Jeremy, can you? You gotta love it. Technical challenges. There I am. Hello there. I'm back from voting, and we're doing the best we can. Obviously, it's important that I vote, and thank you for your patience with me. And I had a chance to listen to most of that response, and I wanted to ask a follow-up question, which is, according to the CDC, and I quote, "The virus that causes COVID-19 is constantly changing, and new variants of the virus are expected to occur," end quote. In an article this year by CBS 8, our local affiliate, it was noted that vaccination rates in San Diego County are rising among Latinos due to the efforts of the on-the-ground community organizations. So my question is this: what are the plans of the efforts of the community organizations and the school board to promote vaccinations in local communities in partnership with what we're trying to do at the federal level?
Thank you for that question, Congressmember McLevin. With that, with our school district, we have had constant communication, making sure that we share information about the vaccine, that it's safe, that it's free, and that regardless of your immigration status, you are eligible to get the vaccine. Since school started, we have done vaccination clinics at our high schools. We have partnered up with the Vista Community Clinic. We did an outreach video with Mayor Judy Ritter, and trying to get as much information out there as possible. But we know by providing information, that's only half of the challenge. The second challenge is actually getting people to come vaccinated. If we look at the county data, we know that there are pockets all over the county, but specifically in North County and the city of Vista, that are not at the 80-90% vaccination rate. In addition to that, we know that with the 12 years and older of the student youth that are not eligible for that vaccine, that we have some work to do. And with it, making sure that when we do vaccination clinics, that we have parent consent, and at the same time, understanding that there is a lot of misinformation out there. And so how do we make sure that we provide accurate information in people's home language, that we have those conversations? I know through the work that Dr. Arcela, and she'll speak about it, having those conversations with people at the door, face to face. We know that the biggest thing that we can do is talk to our friends, to our neighbors, who are more likely to listen to us. But we know this is not just the work of the school district, that we know that this is not just the work of the community clinics. It's a collective effort. And with that, we need to continue because we do have the Delta variant in front of us. We are closely monitoring that. And at the same time, we have the booster shot and what's going to happen then. We need to make sure that we have that information and are ready to go. But ultimately, we need to make sure that we get all of our community vaccinated and getting them up to that 80-90%.
If I could,
go ahead, Dr. Arcela. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. If I could add to what Trustee Vargas is mentioning, we think that community-based organizations have played and will continue to play a critical role in ensuring that the hardest to reach community members and entire neighborhoods continue to have access to vaccines. And that includes having access to timely, accurate information. We've believed, and it's proven, I think, by the success of the vaccination efforts, precisely that promoting information in the native language through trusted messengers has been really key. We are having daily conversations, one-on-one conversations. We think that is the best approach to getting information into the hands of people. We have also identified safe places in our communities that are accessible. For example, in North County, the Escondido World Marketplace that every immigrant knows as the Escondido Swap Meet. This site brings families and individuals from throughout the entire North County region. At this location, we've been able to have 300, 200. We just had a vaccination event this past weekend and had 119 of the hardest to reach members of our community who got vaccinated. Many of these individuals, again, are not connected to medical homes. They lack access to health insurance, and the entire family is looking for vaccines. We know there continues to be a great deal of inequality in access to vaccines. The hardest to reach community members are still struggling to find it, even though it's so readily available at the local pharmacies, at the hospitals, at the community clinics. But we want to make sure that it's convenient, that it's accessible, that people are not afraid to show up. Again, the census tracts with the lowest vaccination tracts throughout the district and across the North County corridor, we are seeing census tracts that have as low vaccination rate as under 40%. This is entire neighborhoods that really add up to thousands of people that still need to be vaccinated, and they want to be vaccinated. That's what I keep hearing with our team out on the field. These are individuals who are not hesitant. They've been looking for vaccines. And when we show up and make it accessible to them in partnership with local community clinics, with the school districts, we've had great partnerships as a grassroots trusted organization, partnering with the school districts who are sending information out to all the parents. It is going to take a collaborative team effort with all of us working in sync to make sure that our families are protected and that we end this pandemic that is affecting so many people in our community.
Well, thank you so much for that answer. And I really am very grateful for all your answers. And I wanted to turn it over now to both of you for some closing remarks. So I'll start with you, Cipriano.
Thank you, Congressmember Mike Levin, and thank you for the invitation. It's truly an honor to be part of this event, and with that, highlighting some of the work, some of the challenges, but also more than anything, the opportunities that we have ahead. I know it's been a challenging time for all of us in our community, from educators to the frontline workers, to those that are still having to work and navigate this pandemic, whether it be in the workplace or whether that be at home. And at the same time, with the American Rescue Plan and the funding coming down the pipeline, it's an opportunity to create, systems of support, making sure that we have a data evidence-based policies that show the significance. And when we invest in housing, when we invest in safe working conditions, when we invest in good jobs, what it means for our community. Because ultimately, when we invest in our community, it not only benefits one pocket of the community, not one pocket of the region, it benefits us all. So thank you for the invitation and look forward to future conversations. With that, have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Cipriano. Appreciate all your work in our community. And Dr. Arcela Nunez, I'd now like to turn it over to you for some closing thoughts.
I too would like to thank your office, Congressman, for making the recognition of our Mexican Latinx community a priority. Again, not just during Hispanic Latino Heritage Month, but what your office is doing to include our voices and the representation that our community deserves. We are going to continue to organize in our community because we think that we are entering into a new era in North San Diego County. It's changing. We see so many different diverse families and folks, who live in our communities. We want to promote that inclusivity so that all of us have the opportunity to work together in creating a community and a society that is respectful of our differences, and that we really thrive and leverage what that means for our educational system, for our economy. Thank you so much for including the voice of our immigrant, Mexican, Indigenous, and Latino communities. It's an honor to be part of this conversation. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. And it's my honor to have had you and to have had our friend Cipriano. And I also want to thank our dear friend, Senator Alex Padilla, who's doing a wonderful job. Before we go, I wanted to share some news. For our September constituent of the month, we have a constituent of the month every month. This month, I chose to recognize Erica Alfaro, a motivational speaker and first-generation American whose parents immigrated from Mexico, for her incredible resiliency. Erica was born in Fresno, California, and spent much of her childhood in Tijuana. Her mother, Teresa, a farm worker, and her father, Claudio, a landscaper, moved the family to Oceanside when Erica was 13 to provide Erica with educational opportunities that were never available to them. Upon arrival in Oceanside, Erica and her family moved into a 2-bedroom apartment with another family, where a total of 11 people shared the small space. Erica recalls accompanying her mother to the fields and listening to her mother describe education as a means to achieve a better life. After becoming a mother herself at 15 years old and dropping out of high school, Erica would eventually receive her high school diploma through a homeschool program and enroll in classes at Miracosta College. During this time, Erica balanced an extremely heavy workload that included a full-time job, full-time classwork, and full-time motherhood. When her son was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, Erica's grades began to slide, forcing her to temporarily suspend her academic dreams. Through this all, Erica persisted, and despite the challenges, she currently holds an associate degree from Miracosta College, a bachelor's degree from California State University, San Marcos, and a master's degree from San Diego State University. Hispanic Heritage Month is a chance to celebrate and pay tribute to the incredible contributions of Latino communities in America and all the ways they've made profound impacts on our nation. We honor the culture, heritage, history, and presence of Latino communities all across the United States of America. That's it for now. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.